Alright, we're live. I'm just getting started. Give me 2 minutes now. I'm trying to find my starter so I can put on oh dear, a candle. Obviously my brain isn't working very well this morning. I want to turn on this candle or light the candle. So I'm trying to look for the starter for this. Alright, hi, whoever has just joined, welcome. I'm trying to light this candle and I can't find my starter, so I'm gonna have to go grab one from upstairs. Because it's bugging me. I really wanted a candle. So I'm sorry for the delay, but give me 2 more minutes. Oh, found it. Haha. Okay, so let's put on, if it wants light for me. There we are. Okay, so I've got that and I've got some tea. And I guess let's get this party started. Welcome to the first rendition of some art lessons, a series that I wanted to create. Today while I'm talking, I'll be going through a project that I had wanted to do for a while, sort of just getting the idea started. Can't tell anything that's sort of, there you go. So I've done a very rough sort of line drawing of sorts. Hi, Simba. Simba would like to come and say hello. Say hello, baby boy, up into the camera, right? Like that. Yeah. He was sleeping upstairs, but because I came downstairs, he doesn't like to be by himself. So he came. Bless you. Right, so I'll be just working on something for you to have a bit of a visual while I'm talking. It's going to be quite a bit of talking today. That's the candle. Right. It burns. See? Too hot for your little nose. You gotta learn this, huh? I think he singed his eyebrow a little bit. One of the hairs on his eyebrows. Too hot, baby boy. Too hot. He doesn't know what that is. Oh, he definitely singed it. Look at that. Wow. Okay. You lost a couple hairs on your eyebrows. Too hot, mommy. Okay, leave it. Okay, off you go. The ends of his hairs on his eyebrows, on the one side they're sort of just curled, and on the other side they're gone halfway. You burned them. Singed, more like, just sort of, they fell off. And now you smell of burnt hair. Little kitty. Okay, go play. Or you could also sleep. Right. So I am going to need a piece of paper. Let's get it into a sketchbook then. Alright, sketchbook it is. So, today I wanted to talk a little bit about myself a bit more and how I started with art, who I am as an artist. And that's actually quite hard, that idea of identity as an artist, and it's constantly developing. So I don't pretend to have all the answers or the best answers, but I can say that I have maybe the answers that work for me right now, if that makes sense. Right, let me get organized here. The first step that I'm gonna do with this, because I'm struggling a little bit with vision at this moment, I came up with this idea, I want to say 2 years ago. When did I first start on this booklet? Oh no, 2020. Right. But this comes from another book, 2019 at least. So a couple of years at least. And it's for my dining table to have a painting. I don't know when it's ever going to come into fruition, but at least I want to get some color down so that I can have more of a vision, because this way it's sort of just a few lines, just as an idea. So that's what I'm doing, and I'm going to go ahead with pastel first and then gouache. I wanted to do gouache directly, but I also know that when I don't have very clear vision, it can take a while to organize myself, and I just sort of just didn't want to go through that whole process now, because it can get very frustrating too, you know. So I'm gonna put my book away. And I need my pastels, but I'm gonna go with the harder pastels maybe. Sure, this one seems to be good. And this thing. Okay, so let's talk. Simba, psst. I might get distracted by the kitty today. I apologize for that. So a little bit more about myself. I am self-taught. I have been painting I would say professionally for 6 years. And I am a psychologist, and in the middle of my practicum, I started my professional artist journey. You jumped right on the tablecloth. How about if I just put you in the kennel? Mommy's got work to do. And that's my tea, hon. Yeah, I know. That's just my tea. One more chance. Settle down somewhere. Or else I'm taking you to the kennel. So you can sleep. Because I know you're tired. Yeah, okay. 2 minutes, you guys. Simba. Not allowed over there. Okay. All right, I'm back. Right, so where was I? My journey. Right, self-taught. Started sort of in the middle of my practicum, and I suppose art has been in my life since I was a little girl. It hasn't gone away too much. I would be drawing cartoons. That was my go-to. It's even probably a bit too... Well, if I just do a little one, let's just do a study. That's what this is about. It's just a study. Right. So cartoons, and actually having this background in psychology really helps out, because my whole approach to art has more to do with the relationship you have with yourself and the relationship you have with art, than the sort of more hardcore what they would teach in a art school program. Yeah, I look at it as more of a expression, right? A communication with your inner self or with your unconscious. And it's not just technical skills for me, it's that relational aspect of it. And that, for me anyways, that has been what has brought joy, I suppose, a sense of fulfillment to myself as a person, as a whole. And that is sort of what I would like to give back at this moment, from that I guess psychological aspect of it as well. So if you are just starting out, I would suggest that you sort of sit with yourself a little bit and think on, what are you trying to achieve? Is this black? French gray. Okay. Yeah, what are you trying to achieve with art? Is it for art school, professional artists? What is your direction in life with art? Is it for just a relaxation, just to have a different way of expressing yourself? Art is really good, by the way, for relaxation, for dealing with anxiety, depression, that sort of thing. Is it just passing the time? Is it picking up a new skill? Maybe you're already on the journey to in your art journey. You're further along, and you're wanting to pick up a new skill, or finesse skills that you already have, right? Just having a direction, a purpose is very important, just like with anything in life. And that I will say is sort of the first step, after which comes, how do I get there, right? I'm trying to look at, I think my horizon is sort of up here somewhere, and it's sloping, I think. Okay. And then I have some trees up here, and then this is sort of taken over by trees. And then I would have some shapes up here in the background. Maybe there should be a path. something that would help to draw the eye towards the horizon. Maybe a path. This is based on a previous painting we had up there that we kind of just got secondhand somewhere. And I sort of liked the composition of it. And it was more abstract. Not abstract, but loose. So I wanted to recreate it. Okay. Right. The other thing too is in knowing your purpose, in your direction, in your art journey, you would also be looking at how you define certain things for yourself, not what other people define it as. So, for example, achievement, success, things like that, right? Or art itself. How do you define art? What is art to you, right? Is it a bunch of lines on paper? Awesome, great. So when you do create a scene, goal achieved, right? You have created a scene. Having clear definitions like this really helps with the self-judgments that come along the way and self-recriminations, because when we compare and we say, I want to do what this other person on YouTube is doing, I want that, and you don't get there, right? And then you feel like a failure, you beat yourself up for, I haven't gotten where I wanted to go, right? So comparisons like that are not going to be very helpful because you're not taking into consideration where you're at in your journey, what kind of skills you still need to learn, and just be yourself. Don't copy someone else. You know what I mean? Have your own voice. Have your own scene that you're creating. Now, this doesn't mean that you can't take ideas from someone else, right? And as you're learning, when you're at the start and you're learning, you are going to copy. But I mean, having those definitions for yourself so you know what to expect of yourself. So managing your own expectations of yourself. Those are going to be important so that you don't, as I said, beat yourself up or feel like you're failing because you haven't achieved what someone else says is their definition, their goal. If that makes any sense. So please let me know in the chat if I'm making sense. So what am I going to start off with here? I'm actually going to start with the trees at the front. I'm going to start with the foliage and let's do some nice fall type of foliage. Towards the back, I'm gonna need some of that. So what I would like to be doing now is sort of build the darks and then go over them with some lights. Or with my other colors, sorry. This is the only thing that I have. I think I'm gonna need a deeper brown for the tree trunk and such. I don't want to use black. Purple would go well with green. That's okay, we'll use the blue. I wanted a more olivey green. That's lighter. Oh, there you go. Maybe. We'll see. Okay. So if I'm reading this right, my darkest darks would be sort of in the background. Light is coming from this direction. This can work or this can not work so well. I'm gonna need to readjust my foliage there, I think, a little bit. That's the whole point of having a study, though. You get to look at the layout of the land a little bit. I don't even know if I want green on here. I might want some brown. But a more muted brown. I might have to do this actually. brown. All right. So I might do one of these studies sometimes if I want to, if I'm not really sure what it is that I want to be doing. I'm looking at various other ideas to see what might work better. And sometimes I might like it, sometimes I might not. Right now I'm thinking maybe a bush of some kind here. Might help along the way. And I'm thinking defining that road a little bit differently. What did I use for the road? Is this one of these? I think is what I used. Path, like so. And then the sky. Right, and then I'm gonna do another one down here with different color variations. What else can I talk to you about? I have found that something that is more conducive to learning or to developing skills, trying things out so that you're not putting so much pressure on yourself. Picking up some of that yellow in there. No, I need something different there. Right. It's too dark. No, that's the blue that I have. I wonder what's been happening with my colors. It's too harsh of a blue though, look at this. Oh, maybe not. See what I mean? You try it out. Right, something that I've noticed that is helpful is to create for yourself an environment that is comfortable and peaceful, right? So that your mindset is one of exploration, of curiosity. I find that is very, very important. To be curious, to see how things would progress, what you're going to get in the end. And that it's okay to bumble, it's okay to make mistakes or what you would consider as mistakes. You learn along the way, right? No matter where you're at in life or in your journey, in your career, you're allowed to make what you might consider stupid little mistakes or stupid big mistakes. But it's okay to make them. It's not the level of expectation you have of yourself. That's something that you set and it's yours, right? So expect that you're gonna need to try it out. Expect that it's not gonna fall into place the first time you try. And then it's okay to just experiment, right? Like myself today, I had no idea what I wanted. I literally had no idea what I wanted to paint. But I knew that I wanted to make a video. So having an attitude of curiosity and of openness and inviting energy in, as opposed to being very stressed out and combative, and ideas will come. Ideas will come to you. So I was going through my little idea book that I have, and I realized, you know what? Yeah, let's give that painting a try. Let's see what I can come up with. And I'm coming up with something. Do I absolutely love it? Not sure that I do, but that's okay. There's space in this notebook galore. You know what I mean? Like, go on with another idea. What I'm doing right now, which is not working very well because of, one, the pastels that I'm using, and two, the paper that I'm using, because the colors are mixing, is I'm trying to put in some sky holes into my massive trees there. Because trees in real life are never quite so, well, I shouldn't say never. Often, they are not clumped together that you can't see the sky for the leaves. So I'm sort of just trying to create some of those holes in there. And it gives it a bit of a different dynamic. When you're painting also, if what you're wanting is painting as opposed to drawing, but this will actually work with drawing too. The eye sees one thing, the brain puts it together, right? So one of the biggest lessons I've learned along the way is that you are painting shapes and colors. You're not painting an object. I'm not painting trees or a landscape. I am painting swatches of color. The brain is going to put those things together and it's going to call it something. It's going to put a label on it and it's going to say, you know what, that looks like trees. And it's a little messy, but it looks like trees. And that looks like something off into the distance. And this looks like a road. That sort of thing, right? Now, this kind of thing is a lot easier to do when you have a reference photo in front of you or you're painting from live. This is probably not a very good example today. Depending on example of what, actually. I am sort of making it up as I go. And that's harder because I have to rely on previous experience and knowledge. And given that, as I said earlier, I'm having a bit of trouble with vision, it's going to take a few tries until I find something that I totally like. So from that perspective, it's a good example for today because it shows, look, you try, you don't like it, you try again, that sort of thing. And it's totally fine. You're not a failure. However, so depends on the purpose, right? What purpose did I have with this? Maybe I'm not creating the purpose that I wanted. I'm not reaching the purpose that I initially wanted. But maybe that purpose, given what is happening for me this morning, maybe that purpose is not very realistic. That's the other thing, right? For your expectations to be realistic. Right. In terms of lessons on Twitch, there are so many different things, so many different ways I could go with this. And it would be very helpful if you were to let me know what you'd like to see or some questions that you have. So that, because that provides a bit more direction for me, because I can talk about anything, and it might not be helpful for you. Again, I'm trying to give back, right? Having said that, I do offer personal lessons. They're around an hour and a half to 2 hours online. It'll be over video because of COVID and such. And so, but those, you can be anywhere in the world and you can have them, right? And you can buy bundles, and it's all on my website if you want to take a look at that. And there we can work more specifically on your needs. What would you like to achieve with some lessons? What is your direction? What is your purpose, right? So I can help out with that a bit. In here, it's going to be on Twitch, on social media, it's going to be a little bit of just shorter little bits of pretty much everything as the need arises, or ideas for myself arise. All right, so what do I want to do now? What do I like about this, and what do I want to change in my next sketch to see what I like? I still like the composition of it. With a bunch of trees this way. Now what I could change is the shape of the trees, the location of the trees, and maybe make it more of a frontal mass and this stuff in the background. Because right here, what is happening is my eye goes to the brightest spot, which is this clump of trees here, and then travels this way. And two things help to travel this way. There is this road, and there's also the horizon line from this tree onwards. Now, this can work very well. It's a very simple, minimalistic sort of composition, which is what attracted me to it in the first place. And once I put paint on paper or on canvas, it's gonna take a different look. But composition wise, let's see, what if we change? Okay, what if we put the trees more this way? Make them more like this. Okay, so there's space there, and then here is my horizon. I don't like that. Okay, that would actually work better if the thing was vertical, but it's horizontal. Okay. And I don't think I have a... I don't. Eraser. So I'm just going to do this. Erase that. Okay, what else can we try? Probably colors. Okay, another thing that I can do is... But I really like this sort of composition, though. I keep coming back to it. Maybe if I don't have a road and I have, well, no. In terms of composition, you also want something that helps the eye to travel around the whole painting. So the focal point is going to be the brightest, and that's where your eyes are going to be drawn. And mind you, in here too, because this point is the lightest, that's sort of where my eye is drawn, and then you have this line that goes that way. If I make the horizon lower, if I make it in this other third, this way, I can have the trees this way. It changes the whole aspect of it, hey? Probably can't see anything that I'm doing over there. No. I still like that. Oh, I know what I could do. I could maybe put some flowers along the way this way. And that's gonna change things up a little bit. Okay, that's gonna be a little bit easier to add in with paint as opposed to these pastels at the moment. So let's do, I like this red color. In the middle of things. And then I like the orange. This is where my brain is going. All right, so I'll use this red though. So I've got 3 trees. Hanging out there. Now my horizon is going to have to be lower though, here, as opposed to up there. Just the way that I've done the trees. So if that's sort of my horizon here, I would like a deeper, cooler orange. I like the idea of something being off into the distance. And it's the fall after all. I think that the problem might be this color. It's a little bit too... what if I do another kind of green? It's too dark. There you go. Something more for the distance, but not very much. And this is a pretty color. It's quite washed out, but deep dark green. This is all shadow here. I'm not liking the ground much, actually. So I gotta, when I paint this, I'm starting to like this better than the top. But when I paint it, I gotta do something different with this ground, because it's not quite doing it for me. I think I'm going to end up throwing away these pastels because I'm not getting what I need from them. I haven't used them like forever. Adding in some branches and such. Give this a bit more dimension. I like these trees better than those ones. And I like a lower horizon than a higher horizon. But this frontal thing, the ground needs to be different. So that's the first one. This is the second. Yeah, I like these trees better. Okay, let's try to put this in with paint and see what we get. Oh look, it's already been an hour. Okay. All right, so mission accomplished. Remember, mission accomplished. Because the mission was to figure out what I'm doing with this one project. I'm getting things done and to figure out something that I like. That was the mission, and also to talk a lot about stuff, which I have been doing. And hopefully you're getting some good ideas about things. So I'm gonna go wash my hands because I need to be nice and clean for this next step. And is this past? This is charcoal. Okay. And then I'll be back. All right. So I remember I was talking about creating an environment that is peaceful, that would allow you to be easy on yourself and accept yourself, and therefore accept your art any way that it comes out. What I do for that kind of environment is I make myself some tea. This is chamomile tea or chamomile. Any kind of, well, herbal, fruity teas is what I drink. And I get a candle, and I would generally put on some music, but because I'm streaming, I don't have music. I haven't listened to music in a long time, actually, while I'm painting. I'm gonna try to find some royalty-free music that I can play in the background, because I can't play just any regular stuff from YouTube because of copyright. So I'll try to find that, because I miss it. I miss just having music. It sort of, it helps to transport me and to lose myself in the process, and yeah, it's really good that way. Although even because I'm talking, I'm not as lost in the process. I'm quite present, and then sometimes it messes up the flow. But it is what it is. I want to stream, so there you go. Right, so I would have that, or this will even be nice to paint one day. I would sometimes, what I've done, especially for meditation and art sort of session, the relaxation with art, is I would get a jar, and on slips of paper I would write down what worries I have with me, and put each slip of paper folded into the jar. And as I'm putting it into the jar, I have this visual of me letting go of that worry for now. So that's sort of the concept of leaving your worries at the door. Because where you're sitting down and for a self-care really session, a me session, me time session with yourself, you don't need any of those worries. And it can be about anything. It can be about tomorrow. It can be about 3 hours from now. It can be about 5 years from now, whichever, right? It can be memories from the past that are coming back. Whatever it is, you write it down, you let it go, put it away, and then you throw those pieces of paper out of that jar. Or you, at the end, you can burn them, or you can be safe if you do decide to burn anything. Shred them, cut them up into smaller pieces, and throw them away, something to signify or to symbolize that you're done with those worries and you're moving on. And the worries can come back, and it's okay, because that's what anxiety does. That's our brain does. It brings back things because they're not finished. And every time they come and you sit down with your your relaxation meditation session, art session, right? And you write them out again, you put them in the jar, and you let them go. And I found that quite helpful too. and it makes for a more present with the inner self time, because you're giving yourself permission to not give power to those worries at this time. And you do this every time that you, maybe it's every day, maybe it's whenever you have some free time to have some me time, some self-care time, and you do that, and then you learn how to let go of those worries. And we only need to let them go for the current moment, really. And you gather up lots of little current moments, and then you get a bigger stretch of time that you didn't have those worries, right? Another way of looking at it is worries are always going to be there. They're not going anywhere. So why keep them with you constantly when those things are still going to be there when you get out of your self-care time, right? They're still going to be there 2 hours from now. You can figure out then. So yeah. Anyways, maybe that resonates with people, maybe it doesn't. It's just sort of my approach to it, and everybody has a different approach to things. This is just how I try to put things in perspective. So for this painting, I'm gonna go with gouache on this sketchbook. It's got nice thick paper that is also quite absorbent. So when I lay down water, it absorbs it right away and it dries it up. So I can't treat gouache too much like watercolors, nice and thin and watery. I'm gonna treat it more like acrylic. And gouache, if you've never used it, that's sort of the beauty of gouache, is that it's somewhere in between acrylics and watercolors, in that you can have a thicker application of it, or you can have a thinner application like with watercolors, and it's not going to affect the binding of the pigment. Another aspect of gouache is that it is opaque, whereas acrylics tend to be shinier. And of course you're going to have acrylics that certain colors that are more transparent than others. But gouache is sort of a happy medium between the two. Now for this, and because I don't have yet professional gouache, I'm using Arteza gouache, which is good. So for anyone who is starting out, it's a nice budget-friendly. Got it on the ground. Budget paint, budget-friendly product. Arteza. So they're good. For myself, so I'm glad that I bought these. They're doing their job. What's happened with 3 of them, and I don't know how much this has to do with Arteza or just myself, is that I couldn't get the cap open, because the paint dried right on there, so I had to break it up. Or I'm not making it much sense. I had to break the tube itself, which means I had to take out all the paint, because otherwise it dries inside the tube and then you can't use it. So I put it on my palette here. So that happened with the ultramarine blue. I think this is ochre, and one of the whites, titanium, I think it was. So I had to pull them out. That was a little frustrating, but yeah. So it's okay. It's not. I do recommend Arteza to anyone who is wanting to start out with gouache. They are quite good paints, and I do have a video with the unpacking of. Is that what it's called when you unpack? Anyways, when I first got them, I made a video of and I painted them. So it's on YouTube on my channel if anybody wants to go in and take a look. So we go from pastels to gouache, so water medium. The look is going to be different. You can't get the same look between them because they're totally different products. Okay, so keeping in mind that, again, expectations. Okay, how do we manage our expectations? Another thing, as I was mentioning, is that I want to do something different with this ground. Kind of works, but it kind of doesn't. So, but that's going to depend on what I'm getting from the painting itself. So this is what I do when let me rephrase. At a certain point in the painting process, so I usually start with a reference photo. And at a certain point in the painting process, I let the painting speak. Meaning that halfway to the end, somewhere, or 3/4 of the way in, that sort of thing, I work with the painting itself to develop it further, as opposed to trying to keep true to the reference photo. And I've noticed that works a lot better than to be very, what's the word that I'm trying to think of here? Inflexible, very rigid, and have to use the reference photo only. Okay, and this also is called having an artistic freedom with your painting to develop it in the way that feels right to you. Okay, not all reference photos are going to be exact and so perfect for transcribing it into a painting. Now, with this also goes the fact that I don't do super realism, I think it's called. So my paintings do not look like photographs, right? My style is more painterly, more impressionistic. So there's a lot of free reign that I take with my paintings. That is something that you would learn to do as you get along, or you go along in your journey. And it comes with practice, and it comes with trust in yourself, and confidence that you can do it. So anywho, let's see what we can do today. And I'm really realizing now too that I chose a painting or a topic that is not the easiest thing to do. Whereas I could have gone with a reference photo, boom, done. In about an hour I would have been done. But I guess that's where my head is at today. We're doing things the complicated way. All right. Now what I do want to do on here though is create myself a border. I don't want to go with the full page. So let's create a border. The other thing is that it's a little too long. Height-wise is relatively okay. So in terms of proportions, I want to keep it more or less the same. It's a little bit too in. Another tip for if you're doing this, some studies before you get on with the actual painting on canvas, say, the proportions should be the same or very close, okay? So the size itself is not going to be the same, but the proportions should be the same. So for example, if my sketch is this long, but my actual canvas is actually this sort of size, shape, right? Then I'm going to have a problem because it's going to look different. Composition wise, it's going to look different on paper than I have on the canvas. And that can throw you off, or you can go with it. But the idea would be to try to keep the relative size or shapes similar. Okay, so because this is gouache, okay, let's do something a bit more watercolory, even though I said I wouldn't do that too much. But I'm gonna do a background first to color it in, and then and that's actually how I would go about if this was an acrylic or oil painting. I would go with the background first, and then on top of that I would do the tree, the clump of trees up here. And this is just because, remember how I said that we want some of that sky showing through, and that's a bit easier to do this way. There's many different ways of going about a painting, so there is no one right, ultimate, correct way. Keep that in mind. What am I looking for? I need to activate some of these colors. So I definitely want that ochre. I would appreciate some of that blue with the ochre, so that kind of green. Okay, fine. Let's do that. But I would also like something much lighter in terms of green, so maybe the cerulean. Now, when I'm actually the sky blue better, when I'm painting in different with different products, with different medium, I have to think in that particular medium. So I'm looking at my reference. My reference right now is the gouache, the pastel sketch. I'm looking at that for color combination loosely, for arrangement on my page. I'm not looking to replicate the look of pastel painting. Okay, I have to think in gouache terms. How do I handle my gouache? What goes first? What goes next? That sort of thing. I can't use gouache and think in terms of acrylic, because that can be a little bit different. I would handle acrylics a bit differently, and so forth. So I'm That's another lesson right there. So that kind of green, oops. I need some oranges and some reds. Vermilion red. Sure. I need some brown to make my better. Oh, actually, the burnt sienna. That's gonna do it. The burnt sienna with some of that orange. Okay. Some pale green versus sap green. That's gonna be better. If I am in a pinch, I can use burnt umber to tone it down. Crimson red. Huh. No, I can't tell the difference between the crimson red and the burnt sienna. The burnt sienna might be a bit brighter, I think. I don't know which one I want to use. Okay. And yellow with red yellow. Oh, goodness. Who knows what I'm gonna get? I see, again, I don't know. I'm curious to see how this is going to turn out. I don't know yet how it's going to turn out. Vision would be that problem there, but at the same time, oh, I think I already have a blue in there. Okay, never mind. At the same time, you don't need a very clear image in your head either. My personal experience has been that when I have a very clear idea in my head of what I want it to turn out like, it never, and I mean never, turns out that way. So that's how I learned to go along with it, as opposed to be very stuck on, I want this, this is what I want in my head. So, you know, you learn to go with it. Go with the flow. Okay. So let's go with the flow. Gonna get water. I'm going to wet this thing like it's nobody's business. The paper is going to be able to take it, but not for too long. Okay, that's sort of my sky right there. And this is my ground. Very loose, very brown. Alright, on top of which I'm going to use the same brush. Right, so this is where I would like to have some of that burnt sienna. Let's see what I got. If I can open this thing up. There it goes, okay. Can't remember if I've ever used it though, but it got stuck because it's so, there's paint on this end here, and so it got stuck, and I almost thought I would need to puncture the tube to get it out and have another mount like that happening. I actually kind of like what this is doing. I got some of that dust on here. So I went with it. You know, go with it. Right, so when you're painting trees, I would suggest very strongly to go with the foliage first and then you add in the trunks. Because the trunk sort of disappears into the foliage as opposed to being one very thick pillar that you try to get your foliage on top of and not quite being able to. If that makes sense. So I really like this kind of red here. And I'm using it quite thick. I want to add some more in the future, but that's okay for now. Okay, and then I said I wanted some orangey thing to happen. Again, I'm looking for leaving some of those empty slots there for the sky to show through and for the background to show through a little bit. Trying to be mindful of that. If it happens that I'm not very careful with it and I make the clump of trees too thick, not to worry, I can always go back in with some of that blue. I can still have it. This is my ochre. I'm trying to be actually, I think I went about this backwards. Should have gone in with the lighter colors and then with the darker colors. So I'm still thinking in terms of pastels, and I just said not to do that. Oops. oh well, that's gonna happen sometimes. So I don't like the type of green that it's more like brown that I'm getting with that ochre and blue. So I'm going to pull out my actual green, which is the sap green. Should be a, oh, it's actually a very light color. Huh. It's not very sappy. Well, maybe that's a little bit too dark now. Okay. Some of that original color then. Okay, and now I need a bunch of yellow. Nice bright yellow. Alright, so this is definitely not how I wanted it to turn out. And that was my mistake right there. It was not treating this as a different kind of paint, but I was still thinking of it in terms of pastels. And what I did with the pastels was that I went dark to light first, but with paint that is not acrylic, you gotta go light to dark. Now I'm struggling to put in this pure yellow on here and for it to show up. Oh, so that's a lesson right there. When your head's not in it, you make mistakes. So, right, that was a mistake for me, but not something that I am going to hold against myself. I'm gonna say, well, better, pay attention better next time type of deal. And this is just still a sketch of sorts. So I'm still not, this isn't the final painting. Okay, so what I'm gonna do here, because I've got these reddish dots, is I'm going to put in some reddish things eventually. Hold on a second. Maybe there's another tree type thing happening there. in the distance, and I'm using the paint quite dry actually here to suggest that maybe it is those are leaves sort of. All right, I kind of like this look like this with a little bit of green, a little bit of brown. Kind of like that better. And actually I'm gonna go into the sky a little bit with this blue. Attempt to make the sort of shapes in the sky that's a little bit too dark. To maybe suggest some clouds or thereabouts. It's almost purpley. Like so, just something in the sky. And so then I'm gonna go with, and I actually like that combination of the burnt sienna, right? Yeah. With the ultramarine, it gives me a very dark purpley brownish color. I'm actually going to use that for the tree trunks here. So by the looks of it, I've got quite a bit more trees than before on my reference, but that's okay. I'm gonna take these trunks and what do you call them, branches sort of. Now my brush is quite thick, quite big, so I'm not getting a very thin line. That's sort of okay. Getting these points in there, I kind of like it. And I like this rendition of it a lot more than the one in Pastel, actually. And this is something that I can then take forward with acrylic, for example, and make the actual painting. I would do that. Maybe I would do, should we do anything in here? This sort of thing kind of draws the eye that way. I wonder if we need any. For indication of bushes or whatnot. It's kind of better before. So I'm doing away with a more defined path because the variation in colors and lightness, got those light patches in there, actually do the job. So, da da da. Sort of what it looks like. And oh, battery's running low. Okay, so I'm gonna need to finish this up really quickly because my battery's, my computer is dying, my laptop. So that's gonna be that for today, and I hope that it was a relatively okay lesson for today. Hopefully you got something out of it. Drop me a line. I would love to hear from people and see what is helpful and what is not. So thank you for today, and I'll see you tomorrow. I'm going to try to be on for a more of a relaxation type of session with art. All right. Thanks so much. Bye for now and have a good day.